So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the PowerPoint with you. If you have questions, just stop me and ask. After the PowerPoint, I'm going to show you some examples of how I differentiate my centers without doing a lot of extra work. All right. So in my classroom, we have 5 centers going at all times. We have listening, computer. Computer also includes the iPad and 2 iPods. We have write the room, read to self, which is reading in the classroom library, and our tubs. And I'll talk some more about the tubs in a second. So these are going every day, all day during reading. I have 4 groups. The groups are skill-based, so not necessarily guided reading groups. I can get you a little confused because I will pull a different group for guided reading because that's based on their reading level. These groups are based on skills, so beginning sounds, vowels, whatever we're working on at the time, or whatever the group needs practice on. They are fluid. They do change pretty frequently. I do have a couple of exceptions who aren't necessarily in groups because they're kind of off doing their own thing. So I have 2 that are just doing what they need to be doing, but everybody else is in a group. So here's how we manage centers and rotating. The first thing is that we have a ticket to centers. So every day there's a must do. And we have kindergarten has made word study our must do. So we do our morning routine, we have our read aloud, we do our comprehension strategy mini lesson, and then it's time for centers. So everybody grabs their word study and works through their word study. When they're finished with word study, they put it away and they go to centers. The way that they know to go to centers is they look at the wheel. The wheel is, the color coding matches the groups. Within the wheel, the groups have 2 choices. So the wheel is a little off, so don't get too confused. So if you're in the pink group, the pink would be here. Your choices would be you could write the room or go to the library and read. And that's all you do for that day. If you were in the blue group, you would go to computers or to your tubs. If you're over here in purple, you would be at listening or in your tubs. And if you're with me, it shows just me. So you come to me, after we finish reading, then you go to your tubs. So there's 2 choices for every group. So if they're with me, they come to me for guided reading, we read, then they move on to their tubs.
Do they, like, for the computer, like for how many spots you have open, is it first come, first serve?
Yes. So we have 3 computers, the iPad, and 2 iPods. So it's pretty much enough technology for every group because I'll mostly have 4, and I think I have 1 group of 5 right now. So there's enough technology most of the time.
Okay.
So they can pretty much decide.
They could all go to computer if they wanted to. Okay, I got it.
And if they're so let's say you finish with your word study and it's your computer day, if you say, hey, can I get on the iPad? You can get on the iPad because you were done first.
Okay.
So pretty easy to manage because they're not coming to me saying, what center can I go to? Can I go to computer? I want to go here.
Do you just verbally tell the child, like if it's your same person who's getting done over and over again, like first in word study and doing the job, and you feel like do you ever feel like they're getting the iPad more than anyone else? How do you manage that?
You'll be surprised because they don't always ask for the iPad.
Okay.
Like they'll be like, oh, can I do the QR codes, or oh, can I do the computer?
Okay, so they kind of self-manage themselves that way. Okay.
And so they don't have to come to me because as soon as they start on word study, I pull a reading group. And the good thing about having the word study is that they finish at a staggered time, so everybody's not rushing off to centers at the same time, so it cuts down on some of the chaos. And if they come to me and say, can I go here? I'll be like, I don't know. Ask the wheel. So most of the time they think they're like, you don't know? I'm like, no, I don't know. I'm not the wheel. Ask the wheel. Any questions? So I'll show you a quick video of what it looks like when one of the kids is finished and going to their center. So she looked at the wheel, it said pink group goes to your tubs, so she grabbed a tub, and off she goes. And they know that they can work anywhere in the classroom, so they just grab it and take off and go. So here are the tubs. They are differentiated. There's one activity in each of the tubs. The activities almost always include some type of recording sheet, and that just helps with some accountability and keeps them a little more engaged. The activities in the group meet the needs of that group. So you may not find all of the same activities. Within these groups, a lot of times there are some similarities in what we're doing. This group tends to be doing something a little different. But whatever this group needs is what they're going to be working on. What this group needs is what they're working on. So you may not see vowels, 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 vowels. It's for that group to get what they need at that time. This is a picture of my tubs last year. Same idea, I just didn't have the fancy drawers. Within the tubs, that's where I have, yes?
Oh, sorry. If you'll go back again, on top of the baskets, is that for them to put their work into?
Yes, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. So within the tubs, I have stuff for sight words, word work, writing, letters and sounds, sentences. You know, for second grade, it may be parts of speech, whatever. First grade talked about verbs and verb tenses. So within here, within these tubs, they're covering a lot of skills. So I don't have a sight word center, a word work center. It's just all within their tub. It just cuts down on some of the management and the chaos. So based on the group's needs, some of the skills will be the same. When you see some of those skills, they're just modified to meet the needs of that group. And I'm going to show you some examples of that in a second. For math, the way it's differentiated a lot of times is just higher and lower numbers. So my low group may be adding to 5. My high group may be adding to 12 or 15. And for my low group, I tend to use a lot more pictures than I do with my higher groups. So to keep them accountable, they have the recording sheet. If the recording sheet isn't finished at the end of their center time, it goes in the basket. We have a blue basket for math, for reading, and a pink basket for math. Clearly somebody didn't follow directions, but that's okay. If the recording sheet is finished, it goes home. I don't collect them. I don't grade them. I do kind of glance at them if they finish, so they'll hold it up and say, I'm finished. And I'll look, just kind of glance quickly and say, okay. And if I notice an issue, I'll point it out. But I don't make a big deal of it, and I don't grade all of them. If it's unfinished, it goes in the basket. Most days, they're really good about checking the basket to see if they have anything to finish. On Fridays, I will pull everything out of the basket so we can try to wrap everything up. So if I find that you have work, I'll just hand it to you and say, you go do this, you go do this, you go do this. If we don't get it finished, it's okay, but we need to try to wrap everything up. If it sits in there for a while, I just throw it away. So it's not a big deal, but it kind of keeps them more accountable. These are some ideas from other classrooms for accountability. So this classroom, they put their work in file folders. In this classroom, they're just regular folders. And this came from a 4th or 5th grade classroom. And at the end of the center, they have to write what they learned, what did you like, what did you learn, and what did you work on. So that just gives them a chance to express what they're doing. And this could probably work for second grade too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like an exit ticket. So we have clear expectations, and that helps with a lot of the issues, the management issues. My kids know that it's time to work. We're not laying down. We're not walking around in circles. We also know that we have certain areas that we don't take markers and stamps and stuff like that. If I have kids that are repeatedly not working, I'll pull them out of centers. If it's for reading, they'll sit down at their table and copy words from the word wall. If it's math, they'll sit down and write their numbers to 100. So they're still getting some academics, but they're not getting to have the fun. And they don't like that. And after a couple of times of that, we eliminate a lot of the issues. One of our routines is clean up. And so I don't have to yell and get their attention. We have a cleanup song. So when it's time to clean up, I hit the song, they stop and start cleaning up. And they know that cleaning up means if it's dry erase, the lids go on the markers, everything gets erased, your papers go in the basket, everything gets back to where it goes. And these are just some expectations from a 4th or 5th grade room. So lots of choice and accountability kind of helps with some of the management issues. There's also lots of repetition built in. So you'll see a lot of the same activities, just addressing different types of skills. And you'll see a lot of the same skills repeated, just addressed with different activities. So a lot of it is repeating, so a lot of it is I don't have to stop and show them what to do. They've already done it, they know what it looks like, they're doing it. And I try to make it as fun as possible to keep them more engaged. For math, kind of the same system. I have 3 groups in math, so we have 3 baskets. Within the baskets, they can pick whatever activity they want. There are activities for review and activities to work on whatever we're currently working on. And the labels are laminated, so I can write on and wipe off if I need to move people from groups. Here's some examples of some center management. This came from a 2nd grade classroom. And so this would be day 1, day 2. The cards are magnetic, so you can just pull them off and move groups. So like day 1, you go here, day 1, day 2, just move it. And they rotate within 20 minutes. I do not rotate my centers daily. So after 15 minutes, we don't stop and clean up and move to a new center. It wastes too much time, it's a hassle. So they will stay at write the room and reading for the entire center time. That's why they have choices built in, so that they're not bored and running out of stuff to do.
How long is your center time?
It depends. Mondays, it's a lot less because we have to cut the word study, so that some of them is like pulling teeth. So we may have 20 minutes on Monday. But by Friday, we usually have about 45 minutes of center time. But there's enough choice built in where that's okay.
Can they switch if they have 2 choices? Can they go from
So like if you're in Write the Room and you finish writing the room, you can go listen to a story. If you finish listening to a story, you can listen to another one, or you can go do another Write the Room. Because we'll have 3 different Write the Rooms going. So there are plenty of choices built in. So you can go back and forth.
If they want to.
Yep. So like if you finish a tub, if you had this one and you finish, you can pick that one.
How often do you switch the tubs? Is there a general time or just based on need?
Based on need, mostly. If it's a theme type center, we'll change it when the theme is up. But a lot of times when I change them, so I'll take it out of here and put it here. And I'll take some of these and put them here. So, and every 2 weeks, usually, 1 to 2 weeks. So on Friday, but I won't change all of them at the same time. So on Friday, I may pull 2 or 3 out and put 2 or 3 new ones in. So this is a 3rd grade classroom, and they use their table groups as their center groups. So if you're table 1, you would be center group 1. If you're table 2, you would be center group 2. And then they have their 3 choices. And they rotate every 20 minutes. This is 4th grade, same kind of thing. They've got their choices, and she used the directions to make her groups. And they rotate in 20 minutes. This is a kindergarten classroom, and she uses numbered drawers. So in the drawers, there are several activities, and then she would just assign kids to whatever number that she wants them in. And she changes it out every week. And this comes from a 5th grade classroom, and I think this one's pretty interesting. All of their centers are stored in bags. And so when it's center time, whatever center you're at, you pick the bag and go work. So on Monday, like group 1 would go to writing, so they would grab the writing center bag and work. I store everything in Ziploc bags, I use the ones that have the red slider on the top because it's easier for the little hands to close because they can never get the other ones closed. And then I store everything in boxes based on the skill. So I have a box for subtraction, a box for addition, a box for vowels. That way if I need something, I know exactly where to go. And when I copy my recording sheets, they're front and back. And so if one side is still blank, it just goes back in the center for somebody else to use. And a lot of kids will want to do both sides of it. So they'll finish one side and they'll just do it again. And this is just another example of how to store centers. So the name of the center is on the front, directions are on the back. And that would be much more appropriate for smaller kids. Any questions?
Question. You said that you change out your tubs about every 2 weeks.
Mhm.
When do you train your students on what's in the new tub?
A lot of times it's something we've done either whole group or in small group. So it's not something they have to be trained on. But it's usually it's something that they've seen before, maybe with just a different skill. So they've seen the activity, so they know what to do. And a lot of times, once something gets all the way down here, these kids will help. They'll say, "Hey, can we help so and so?" So they'll help. They'll want to help. And if they're saying, "I don't know what to do," I'll be like, "Ask somebody up here because they know what to do." Any more questions? All right, so I'm going to show you a couple of things that can help with differentiation. So this is a good example. The same pictures, but different skills. So this group, they're working on beginning sound. So they would just be writing the beginning sound. For this group, the same pictures again, but they're working on the middle sound. Same center, same pictures, but they have to write the whole word. So they're working on the same skills, but it's adapted to be more challenging for the higher group. Again, same thing, CBC words for my lower group, CBCE words for the higher group, same activity, so they've done it before, they know what to do. And then for my low kids, they can still work on their words and sounds, only they're doing it with a lot more support. They've got the letters and the picture. We have letter tiles, and so they spell the word, and then they know that it's a tux, so they're getting some practice with sounds and reading. And then it's the same thing, but just meeting their needs. Same thing with math. So this week we're working on making 10. And so for my low kids, they have a puzzle, and it has the equation, so they know they're looking for 9 and 1. So then they can go find 9 and 1. For the middle kids, middle group, they pick the number, and they have to find the 10 frame and figure out what's missing. And then they write the equation. So 6 and 4 would make 10. And then to challenge the high group, they pick a card, and they have to make 10 using green and brown blocks, and then write the equation. This one blows their mind. But that's what they need. They need, because this would be too easy for them. This would be pretty much too easy for them. So this is something that gets them thinking and working harder. These are great for differentiation. You can get them on Amazon for like $15, and you can put whatever you want in them. These pop out. So when we were using these last, we were working on shapes, obviously. So my low kids were working on 2D shapes. The higher kids could do 3D. And so they would roll these, and they had a little sheet, and they were graphing their shapes. So QR codes are big in my classroom. And again, differentiated. This is beginning sound. So they would scan the code, a little picture pops up, and on their sheet, they color the letter that makes the sound. On this one, a picture pops up, and they have to write the word. This one, they scan it, it's a picture, they have to identify the ending sound.
They would have the little record.
Yeah, so like they would have the recording sheet, and I have this even more differentiated. So on this one, the ending sound, on this sheet they write the letter. So this could be for some of my higher kids to write the letter. I have another version of the recording sheet that already has the letters on it, and they have to color.
App?
It's Well, I make these, and I make the code, and then they use an app on the iPod, and it's called. I use QR reader.
I know they have that because I obviously have used it for things outside the classroom.
So, and it scans, and then the picture comes up.
I think Jen has used it with her
Yeah.
class.
Yeah, I wanted to just see an example.
So I use QR reader as one, and scan is one. Any questions? Well, I will get it for you. There are 36 Teachers Pay Teachers products on here for
Cool.
centers. It's from grades 1 through 4. So
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And if you're speedy and get things printed, we have Parent Volunteer Day on Tuesday. So if you find something you want in a hurry, you have about a week.
That's great.
Ideas.
And I'm going to email this PowerPoint.